What's up everyone, it's Dakota. My favorite time of the year has come and gone again. Yeah, I might be a few months behind with this one. And I thought why not enjoy it with a nice and short game to get me into the spooky spirit. A 3D platformer called Pumpkin Jack was the perfect choice. A quick synopsis, it begins with the devil becoming bored with humanity's safe and prosperous lives, so he decides to curse them with monsters in an unending night.
That even the devil himself was bored brainless. The devil dreamed of bloodshed, pestilence, suffering on a cosmic scale.
The humans, not being the biggest fans of this, call upon a wizard to undo the chaos. You play as the title character, Pumpkin Jack, who is known as history's greatest trickster and con artist. Your ultimate goal is to stop the wizard from saving humanity. Make no mistake about it, you play as the bad guys attempting to defeat the good. It's a nice change in comparison to most stories told nowadays. This part of the narrative is also upended because the wizard himself has evil tendencies. So in a way, it's the bad guys versus the bad guys. The wizard is hungry for power and is willing to sacrifice other humans for his cause. Even Pumpkin Jack calls him a quote-unquote rotten little jerk. Jack himself is easy to relate to, other than him being prone to wickedness. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy who has good humor and will do whatever it takes to accomplish his goal. This game's humor lives through its characters, and plenty of lines made me chuckle. I knew I would love the writing immediately after a joke about being a sleazy salesman was told. It's also fun to see Jack interact with his bird companions who are guiding him along in his quest. The crow specifically is a hilarious and consistent presence throughout the whole game. Jack and the crow's personalities are perfect for each other from an entertainment perspective. Jack is volatile and willing to take risks, while the crow is somewhat of a coward and likes to do everything by the book. Other than the birds, there are a few other NPCs that Jack has to begrudgingly deal with, each with their own unique personalities. When it comes to spoken dialogue, the only voice-acted parts happen during the cutscenes in between missions, with the rest of the lines being dialogue text that pops up during gameplay. This works most of the time, except for when the text boxes pop up during battles, platforming, or other scripted sequences where you have to concentrate a little more on the action. I can't really hold this against the developers because it seems like it was made by only one person, along with a special thanks to a few other people. I find that to be an incredibly impressive accomplishment, especially with how well the game came together. If you're playing on PC, here's your reminder to double check all the video settings to make sure you're playing with the effects and level of detail that you desire. I specifically found that there was a huge difference between playing with HDR ticked on and off. With it on, the game was much darker than before and gave off a more ominous vibe. It is a little hard to see, of course, but it fleshes out the colors and lighting levels even more. To each their own with this, but all the changes can conveniently be seen on the main menu screen if you want to try that out. Speaking of the visuals themselves, you get to travel through several worlds full of vibrant colors and impressive lighting. Each map is visually distinct and fun to explore. My favorite was Skelly Town, a human castle that you had to fight your way into, but the fields, the cursed swamp, and the haunted mine were all fantastic as well. They absolutely nailed the feeling of Halloween. I love the overall atmosphere of the game, and it truly helped me get into a spooky season spirit. And quite frankly, this is the main reason you're here, just to have a good time, since the vibes in this game are off the charts from a combination of the music and the way the world looks and feels. Diving into Pumpkin Jack's gameplay, you'll get to complete platforming sections, find collectibles, fight a nice variety of enemies, and occasionally go for a fun ride. The levels are pretty straightforward and not overly open for exploration. The game itself is not very difficult to play, and it can be quite forgiving of mistakes. The platforming is simplistic about 3/4 of the time. There are a few more complicated spots, but they're not too overbearing. The combat is also simple but still fun. You can pretty much button mash your way through it if you wanted, and you'll likely survive every fight 9 out of 10 times. The only time I was ever worried about my health was during the boss fights, but even then, they weren't too bad to defeat. Basically, all my deaths came down to platforming fails, which were split between me testing the game's limits and me just being bad at video games. stay alive, there are plenty of objects you can use to restore your health during and between battles. There's a nice dodge mechanic too, though enemies don't normally cause that much damage. It's easy to just hop around and get some heavy AoE attacks in that will take care of most of your problems. There's a handful of different weapons to unlock. The main difference is how each weapon changes your character's movement. You're still going to have the same base attacks, but with different special effects and distance covered. My favorite one to use was the shotgun because it was loud and satisfying to fire. Your buddy the Crow is also useful for damaging enemies from afar. The game includes a nice variety of Halloween-themed enemies like skeletons, ghosts, bats, and scariest of all, humans. Even though combat is simplistic, it doesn't overstay its welcome. There's a really good balance between well-designed platforming and battling enemies. You'll get into a few bigger combat situations in between platforming, but they usually don't take that long to complete. Additionally, the boss battles themselves aren't super complex. My favorite one has to be the ghost battle because it involves more of a platforming challenge since the ground around you begins to fall apart. The bosses all usually go through 3 phases and use similar attack moves throughout their fights. You just have to dodge and hit them at the right moment. It's nothing too terrible or overly complicated, and I personally would have liked to see even more platforming challenges embedded within these fights. Pumpkin Jack only takes about 5 to 7 hours to fully complete with all collectibles found. The levels are about 25 to 30 minutes long, give or take however long you spend admiring the beautiful world. This is a good and bad thing. It's good because it's the perfect small game to kick off your Halloween season with, but it's bad because I found myself wanting to explore even more spooky environments. The game's playtime can also be extended if you're an avid speedrunner, as it conveniently records how long you take to complete levels within the main menu. For the collectibles, there are 20 skulls hidden around each world space. They aren't too hard to find. Once you enter an area, you can easily locate 1 or 2 of them by simply turning left or right and looking behind a nearby tree or box. Even the easy ones were fun to collect, and at least there are a few well-hidden ones sprinkled throughout the worlds too. I was usually only missing a couple after finishing each level, and they weren't overly annoying to go back and find. The other collectible the game offers is amazing. I said the Halloween vibes are here, and they totally are with the gramophone collectible. It really lets Jack show off his dance moves. In the end, Pumpkin Jack is the perfect game to kick off your Halloween season. Its shortness works in its favor due to its simplicity, and that's not to say a simple game like this isn't fun. I had a blast with it from start to finish. The game really shines through its humor, lighting effects, world design, and Halloween spirit. I'm going to give Pumpkin Jack an 8.4 out of 10. Have you played Pumpkin Jack? What are your thoughts on the game? Let me know and I will see y'all next time.